Hello, I'm Siamecat. Don't mind me. I'm just doing something only 2000s kids remember. See, this is what us 2000s kids like to call a legitimate strategy.
Motion controls. I like them. Everyone else says they don't even work. I think they work fine enough depending on your sensor bar placement, but someone must have complained, because in 2009, Nintendo made the Wii Motion Plus, an accessory you could attach to the Wiimotes to make them actually work as intended. You do have to recalibrate them often, but it's not a big deal. The game that was meant to showcase this new accessory was Wii Sports Resort. As I mentioned before, this could have easily been just as shallow as Wii Sports, but Nintendo went above and beyond and made this Game of the Year.
You hear that? It's pitchforks and torches.
Wii Sports Resort opens with you skydiving down to Woohoo Island, and already we can see why this is so much more than just another sports game. Skydiving is also a great way to show off the capabilities of the Wii Motion Plus. The goal is to link up with as many people as possible and turn everyone's faces to the camera for great pictures. What a great first impression. There are 12 sports, and most of them have sub-modes, so let's start with Swordplay Duel. The goal is to knock the other player out of the ring. Seems simple, right? Well, there are two methods to do that. There's the honorable method, which incorporates blocking and striking at the right time and angles, and then there's the swing wildly and hope for the best method. If you choose the honorable method, I would recommend making sure your sword is parallel to your opponent's before striking, because if you don't, you'll constantly get blocked. If you get a high enough rank in single player, you will have the opportunity of fighting Matt, the champion. This took me an hour. When I did finally beat him, I thought I just got lucky and still do. Next up is Speed Slice. Oh hey look, there's Matt!
What? No!
Don't worry, he's not here to ruin your day. Instead, he'll throw various random objects in front of you and your opponent with random directions you're supposed to slice them in. First to 10 wins. Speed Slice is a fun addition. It's an interesting test of who has better reflexes. Then there's Massacre, Showdown. This almost feels like an epic campaign, and that's probably because it is. In this game, you're on a rampage attacking everyone in your path. Get hit 3 times and it's game over. But take down the entire army, and you could advance to the next stage. Stage 1, the bridge. This is the one stage where you can swing wildly and actually win. The Miis with green armor are pathetic. They're the only Miis that don't block, and the only way you can manage to get hit by them is if you wait around for 10 seconds. The Miis with brown armor are basically greens, but they block. So if your lightsaber isn't parallel to theirs, they can catch you off guard. The Miis with black armor can be found winning at the end of every stage. They're the only Miis with 3 HP, but their difficulty usually matches the stage they're in. Oh yeah, it's also funny to see the Miis fall off the bridge, parachute back up, and teleport away. Stage 2, the Lighthouse. This stage introduces red armor Miis. If they block you, they will attack right away, so be careful. They also have 2 HP, so reds are pretty tough. Next up there's Stage 3, the Beach, Stage 4, the Mountain, Stage 5, the Forest, and Stage 6, the Ruins. Stage 6 introduces purple armor Miis. These are just reds with really smart AI, which makes them quite difficult. Next up there's Stage 7, the Waterfall, Stage 8, the Glyphs, and Stage 9, the Castle. I really like Stage 9 because of the infiltrating the castle all by yourself story behind it. And of course the final stage has to be a volcano, just like every other game in existence. Just when you thought you were done, though, you unlock mirror mode, reverse stages. These are all the previous stages but in reverse, and the difficulty gets to near impossible levels here. I spent several hours trying to beat the volcano in reverse when I was younger and never did, but playing this game again for this video, I actually beat it. You have to have a lot of skill, and most importantly, patience. But with enough practice, you can beat it too. Maybe. 10 out of 10. Next up, wakeboarding.
No.
You try to jump off waves provided by the speedboat pulling you along, while doing cool tricks to get points, sort of like Mario Kart. In order to land properly and get points, you have to make sure the Wiimote is completely flat and horizontal. However, every now and then the motion controls refuse to work right, so for me, it's among the 3 games that aren't as good as any of the others. There are 3 difficulties, but I wouldn't even bother with the intermediate or expert because the obstacles they add are just annoying and don't add anything meaningful. 5 out of 10.
Next up, frisbee golf. Oh, what's that? You thought we were doing frisbee dog next? Of course not, that's boring. Frisbee golf is the real star of the show here.
There are 3 courses to choose from: Resort, Classic, and Special. Let's go with Special first. This one's only 3 holes long. In frisbee golf, the hole is this big glowing area, and you have 3 frisbees to choose from: the driver, mid-range, and putter. The driver goes very far, and the mid-range and putter are used for when you're much closer to the goal. Be sure to pay attention to where the wind is blowing too. The reason I tossed aside frisbee dog like that was because every time I play that, I start wondering why I'm not playing frisbee golf instead. Oh yeah, and the motion controls here are surprisingly very good. The frisbee always went where I thought I was throwing it. Hole 1. Out of all the rivers in the game, this one is really good for learning how to skip the frisbee across water. Hole 2. I'm in a canyon. I wonder why the wind seems to be against me more often than not. Hole 3. I'm at the top of a large hill. I should probably not aim too far to the left or right, or the wind will push the frisbee out of bounds. Well, that's the special course done. Time to move on to the classic course. These 9 holes are the original ones from Wii Sports. That's pretty cool. If I ever do a video on the original Wii Sports for some reason, I guess I won't have to talk about golf again. Hole 1. Just a flat plane. It's hard to fail this one. Hole 2. Easy hole in 1. Just don't aim directly for the lake. Hole 3. This is the infamous one with the safe spot on the cliff. If you don't know how to do it and your friend does, you're in for a rough time. Hole 4. There's not that much to say other than I like the scenery. Hole 5. Don't go through the trees, it's a bad idea. Hole 6. If the wind is blowing in the direction of the hole at 20 miles per hour, you might just be able to clear it in 2 throws. Hole 7. Next. Hole 8. Throwing uphill is impossible. Hole 9. This is it. The final challenge. Throwing the frisbee from island to island is just as hard as you'd think it'd be. Now for the resort course. These are the holes made for Wii Sports Resort. This course takes place on Wedge Island, a place you can only get to by taking a boat from Woohoo Island. In the lore, at least. As I've said before, it would be awesome if that were an actual part of the gameplay, but I'm running out of ideas on how to hide self-promotion, so I'll just give in. I made a video about my ideas for a brand new game set on Woohoo Island. It is a video I made. That is all. Anyway, let's finally start. Hole 1. An easy hole made even easier by metal grates covering the lake for some reason. Hole 2. Another easy hole in 1. Hole 3. The beach is basically a big bunker, so don't aim there. Hole 4. A simple hole. I like how you can see a low-quality 2D image of Woohoo Island in the background. Hole 5. Not much to say. Hole 6. Not much to say. Hole 7. Not much to say. Hole 8. I like how twisty this looks. Hole 9. A good final hole. Wow, that took a while. Overall, frisbee golf is a great time. 9 out of 10. Next up, archery. Simply pull back the nunchuck and release Z to shoot.
I'm great at this.
Like wakeboarding, there are beginner, intermediate, and expert difficulty levels. There are 4 stages in each, so let's go. All 4 stages in beginner are the simplest and easiest, of course, with the target being further away each time. The final stage also introduces wind because you're on a bridge. Intermediate introduces moving targets. These can be a pain later on. Expert introduces walls in front of the moving target, on top of being very far away. The final stage is in the volcano, so if you make it past the urge to shoot all your arrows in the lava to see what would happen, then you'll realize that this stage does something never done before in an archery game. Well, yes, we are in a volcano. I doubt that's been done before. But because we're in a volcano, the wind is blowing up because of the lava's heat. That is genius. 8 out of 10. Next up, basketball. 3-point contest is good practice for the pickup game, as here there are 25 balls, and the goal is simply to throw as many of them in the hoop as you can in a minute. The pickup game is just basketball, so there isn't that much to talk about other than the motion controls. They work well, but it does feel like you have to be very precise at times. In pickup game, if you pass the ball at the right times and someone in your team stands in the blue area, you can perform a slam dunk. If you're trying to win, this sadly isn't a viable strategy because of how easy it is to steal the ball in this game, but come on. Don't you still want to try? 7 out of 10. Next up, table tennis. This is so much better than that lame version from Wii Play.
It's actually table tennis.
Easy to learn, hard to master. The champion, Lucia, is so difficult that I had to use a different me to record footage of getting a point, which is very funny because that ball is usually landing in the pool. If you liked ping pong and Wii Play for some reason, then Return Challenge is for you. It's basically identical to that game, but there are some cans to knock down for extra points, and it's actually good. 9 out of 10. Next up, golf. Unpopular opinion alert, golf is just worse frisbee golf.
You hear that? It's pitchforks and torches.
See, in frisbee golf, you have a lot more control over where you want to go, whereas in golf, the motion controls are just bad. I only just now realized that I've been playing golf wrong my whole life, but even when I learned how to play it right, it didn't become any more fun. It's just simply too imprecise. I don't want to be hyper-focused on making sure I hit the ball in a straight line. The courses were undoubtedly made for golf, but I think they're better for frisbee golf. 3 out of 10. Next up, bowling. This is basically just the Wii Sports version with some extra modes. From what I've learned, the strategy for getting consistent strikes is to line yourself up with the arrow to the far right or left, depending on your dominant hand. Then curve the ball towards the center, and congratulations, you just bowled a 300. Also, make sure to throw the ball backwards. Wow! The 100 pin game is a very neat idea. It's very satisfying to see 100 pins fall over at once. Or 99 pins if you're like me. Then it's no longer satisfying. Also, I heard there's a secret button that gives you an instant strike if you can balance the ball on one of the sides. I can't seem to do it though. Does anyone know how that works? Then there's spin control. Wow, I was not expecting spin control to be this good. The whole concept of spin control is that there are barriers blocking the pins, so you have to curve the ball in such a way that it avoids all the barriers while still knocking down every pin. I'm definitely going here every time I get bored of regular bowling. 9 out of 10. Next up, power cruising. Evidently, it's also called jet skiing. The more you know. You're supposed to hold the Wiimote and nunchuck like a handle, and it's very responsive. What isn't responsive is the boost. The instructions tell you to twist the Wiimote, but it only works for me if I push it forward several times. The goal is to go through as many rings as fast as you can, because you'll be awarded more points the faster you get to them. If you're looking for high-speed action on the water, this is your best option. Wakeboarding just isn't that great in comparison. 7.8 out of 10, too much water. Next up, canoeing. This one's just unplayable. Easily the worst game in Wii Sports Resort. The main reason being that I can barely change which side of the canoe my paddle is on. It's just so unresponsive. I'd rather play the practice version where you gather ducks than the actual game. It would be more fun if you could ride off the waterfall and go anywhere you want. 2 out of 10. Next up, cycling. This one is incredible. You can choose to play one long tour of Woohoo Island or split up the races into 2 or 6 segments. The end of a race in a 1-segment course would be a checkpoint in the tour. The more checkpoints there are in a race, the further you will start from first place. In the full tour, you start in 100th place, so if you can consistently gain 20 positions per checkpoint, you should be in first place by the time you reach the final checkpoint. There's a layer of strategy in this game most others don't have. If you charge forward as fast as you can, you run out of energy and breath very fast, which causes you to stop for 5 seconds and drink a water bottle. In order to regain that energy, you'll have to stop pedaling, which isn't exactly optimal. Though when you're in large groups of cyclists, drafting behind them refills your energy very fast, and retains your momentum too. I would recommend saving up lots of energy by drafting behind the cyclists in a large group, then using that energy to rush towards the next group of cyclists so you can refill your energy again. You always have to think about when to charge ahead and when to slow down, and that's very cool. It's just a shame you can't have the authentic cycling experience without taping the Wiimote and nunchuck to your legs. 10 out of 10. And finally, air sports. We've already talked about skydiving, and I would play dogfight, but it's 2-player only, and the state of the world isn't looking too great right now, so all that's left now is island flyover. This is as close as we've ever got to an open-world Woohoo Island experience. Just explore, fly anywhere you want. But wait, there's more. The main collectibles are called eye points. You'll find an eye point for every landmark and location on Woohoo Island. Every eye point has a description too. These are very interesting because the more you explore, the more you'll find deep Woohoo Island lore. So study up, the test is on Friday.
Alright, class. Who can tell me how many candles the lighthouse called the Candle shines as bright as? Ooh, I know this one! It's 1,600,000!
Remember when I said the table tennis balls always land in the pool? Well, this eye point right above the pool also brings attention to that. Some of the more self-aware ones are really funny, so I recommend reading what these descriptions have to say. When I was younger, I would always say the water at evening looked like orange juice. Several years later, I would read the eye point for Duckling Lake and realize someone on the writing team had the same idea. That is really cool. There are 80 eye points in total, and for every 10 you collect, you get a cool reward. For 10, you unlock the ability to shoot down balloons. For 20, you unlock Evening Flyover. For 30, you unlock the Double Blaster. This makes it easier to shoot balloons. For 40, you unlock Night Flyover. For 50, you unlock cool little night lights for your plane. Shouldn't nightlights be a safety requirement so people know a plane is likely flying way too close to the land? For 60, you unlock the two-seater plane, so you can subject a friend to your antics of flying directly into buildings. For 70, you get your face plastered on the whale shark. And for collecting every last eye point, you get a house to call your own on Private Island. See that? I live there. You can also turn off the engine whenever you feel like it. Siamecat, we just ran out of fuel. This isn't the last time we'll see Island Flyover, though. Yeah, we'll get to you eventually. 10 out of 10. Wii Sports Resort is my favorite game in the Wii series. Now, there wasn't much competition to begin with because all the other games are this, what, and why. But Wii Sports Resort isn't just a party game. It's up there with the best games from all the other Nintendo franchises.
But Wii Sports Resort doesn't have baseball, I hear you asking? Well, don't worry. I checked. It doesn't. How am I ever gonna make a compelling argument about this game now?